Hello guys, right now I'm in the Real Padel Marbella, and this week we have an amazing guest with a fascinating story behind. He was born in Suriname, a former Dutch colony, Regilio Benito Tuur, New York State champion, former Olympian and 7-time world champion.
I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all. I'm the greatest of all.
Regilio, thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy.
Thank you for having me.
It's been some days that I'm thinking about this interview and our meeting because we meet very recently, the last week, but I felt from the very first beginning your energy and this motivation that you have inside and you spread with the people that you have around. So I took the opportunity to invite you to the project, to Original Empire, to speak about yourself, your career, your path, and of course, giving some advice to the young people, because you know the generation nowadays is a bit different from before, and you lived different decades, so you have this experience in your skin, in your heart, about the 80s, the 90s, 2000, and now, of course, we have more technology, we have a lot of inputs, young people are a bit distracted, they don't have this focus that maybe you had in your past. So, of course, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I would like to start with you, as we did before with the other guest, about your origins. You were born in Suriname, which is a former Dutch colony in 1967.
Yes.
So what did you remember about your childhood, your past?
So first of all, again, thank you for having me. People always ask me, because I live in America for over 34 years, people ask me, where are you from, right? And I always say this as well, you know, I'm a citizen of the world. Because my ancestors are from Africa. I was born in South America. I was raised in Western Europe. I lived in North America for 35 years. Okay? I speak almost, you know, four languages fluent. One language I can get by in. I've traveled all over the world, and I've seen decades, you know, of change in the world. So, what am I? I'm a citizen of the world, and I believe that the world, the way it is today, is a representation of what I am, because the world is becoming a melange of all different things, and I believe that I'm a product of that, a product of hundreds of years of history.
Yeah.
So that's how I see myself.
You are the product of the past past decades society, but the product of yourself, because it's very important to create your present and your future. And for me, it's very fascinating the thing that you are 55 now. You look like 35, like me. I was in shock when I knew your age, like my father. But in generally, I like to invite people 20, 25, 30, 35, but I took this opportunity because you are young inside, you have this spirit, and of course you have the experience. So we are taking the jackpot because you can count us like everything about that.
Well, to me, a quality of the past only remains relevant and of value if it's updated with knowledge of the present.
Of course.
And what I've done, and I've been privileged enough to be able to do in life, is every X years update myself to understand the present. I've in the past 10 years, you know, studied technology to understand what's happening in the world today, which most people don't understand. One of the things that people of great achievement, that their biggest fear is becoming irrelevant, right? And therefore, we want to remain relevant by understanding where the world is going. Now, not many people can do that because you need to let go of the past in order to look into the future. And I believe that success in life and happiness in life, to me, is making sure that my future is going to be bigger than my past. For me, that's a massive task. right? Because I have a massive past. But that to me is exciting. Exciting to look into the future and to create the view of a future that's bigger than my past now. And therefore you have to understand the past, okay? But look at it, don't get stuck there.
Yeah.
To understand the present,
Yeah.
to be able to build the future.
This is a tremendous point that I want to touch with you now and later, because I come from a sport background as well.
Yep.
And I know for sure that soccer, football people, boxer, professional athletes, when they finish their career, they are a bit depressed.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult when you
Yes.
pass and you change your routine to find new stimulus, new motivation. So this is a very good point that I want to touch with you, but I want to start from the beginning because it's very particular that you were born in Suriname, former Dutch colony, and then you moved to Netherlands. So how was that?
Yeah, so I've been approached for a few times to make a movie about my life. And a few times I haven't done it. Why? Because they want to tell the story about the successful boxing champion, which of course is great as a part of me, right? I had the Ferrari and the Lamborghini and I was married to the model and all the amazing parties. That's a part of me, yes. And I was the big champion, yes. But it's only part of me. It's a small piece of me.
Yeah.
The big part of me is that I'm a product of history. I'm a product of European history. In this case, Dutch. So as I said in the beginning, people ask me where you're from. So, well, my ancestors are from Africa, right? In the time of slavery, they were brought to South America.
Yeah.
And then when the end of slavery and the end of colonization, we went to Holland. How did it happen? Now, New York used to be an island called New Amsterdam. Most people don't know that, but it's used to be called New Amsterdam. Used to be owned by the Dutch.
Yeah.
Right now, the British had Boston above and Pennsylvania below, East Coast, and they wanted the whole East Coast. So they traded with the Dutch, or actually gave the Dutch ultimatum to trade with them for a piece of land that they had in South America. So the British wanted the whole East Coast. So the Dutch traded with the British. They gave the British New Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and the King of England. And the King of England gave the island to his brother, and his brother was the Duke of York.
Yeah.
So the Duke of York changed New Amsterdam into New York. That's how New York was founded.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the Dutch, if I'm not wrong, so the Dutch gave New Amsterdam,
So
and
the
they
British,
exchanged it with the Suriname.
okay, and they changed it for a piece of land. It's not an island. We say an island, but it's not an island. South America, there are two Guyanas, two British Guyana. So you had two British Guyana, one French Guyana, and it's Brazil, the Amazon, Guyanas, Venezuela, Colombia.
Yeah.
That's where it is, all right? So the Dutch got one of the British Guyanas, and they renamed it after the Indians that lived there, the Suriname Indians.
Suriname
Indians, all right? And then they went to Africa, got the slaves, and brought them there. Hence Surinamese. That's where my ancestors come from. And in the 1900s, when after Gandhi in England, all the colonies started becoming independent.
Yeah.
Suriname was one of the last ones to become independent. And in 1972, and they gave the people that lived there, that were actually property of the Dutch kingdom. I was born as property of the Dutch kingdom, actually.
Yeah.
They gave them the chance that the people that could move to Holland will become Dutch, will actually remain Dutch, because and the people that stayed will now become Surinamese after independence. My parents and my family moved, so hence I became a black Dutchman, which Americans most don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand where the black Dutchman comes from.
And I suppose in this period, in this era, was not very common to see black people in Holland. It was quite new.
When I grew up, and I give you a photo, you can put it in. Up until my 16s, I was always the only black kid. All my friends were tall and white and blonde. And my dating pool, or my girlfriends, it started changing when I was 17, 18. Actually 16 a little bit, when you started getting some Moroccans coming in, Turks. Actually, first first Cabo Verde,
Yeah.
then from Turkey, and then from Morocco. And I always tell my kids today, I'm like, I was always the only black kid, everywhere. So it was a total different time.
Yeah. I would like to talk with you about 2 points. One is the genetics of the Surinamese people into the sport, because we are speaking about Gullit, we are speaking about Kluivert, and then
Davids.
next generation Seedorf, Davids,
Yep.
Rijkaard before with Gullit. And I know because you told me that when you were like 11, 12, you are coming from a boxing family.
Yes.
So your father, your
My dad.
brother were boxing,
Yes.
but you were not when you were like 11, 12. So your brother was pushing you in a very funny way.
I have a brother who's as big as you. He's 6'4", 6'3", and he's the sweetest guy in the world. But he's always teased me because as a boy, I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I have an older sister who I got her to go to fashion school because I wanted to go to fashion school and I wanted to be a fashion designer. So my brother would call me Sissy because I was born with a heart murmur. I was born with a heart murmur, which in those days,
Yeah.
1970s, you didn't survive. So the doctors told my mom that I would not survive. But my mom did every Surinamese remedy that was around South America. She tried. Something worked. I don't know what. But I believe that it was my mindset because I had brothers that were healthy and I didn't want to be sick. And my brother teased me, called me Sissy, because I want to be a fashion designer.
Yeah. So you took it like personal.
I took it very personal, and I figured my dad boxed. And I figured if I boxed like my dad, nobody called me Sissy, right? And my dad was one of the first people that had what they call back in this was the Ring magazine, the Bible of boxing.
Wow.
It's very rare to have it in those days. My dad was one of the first ones to have the magazine. And in the magazine, you had all the world champions like Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard and I would, and those were his heroes.
Great inspiration.
So I said to my dad, if I figured if I become like my dad's heroes, nobody called me Sissy.
Yeah.
So I said to my dad, I want to be like them. And my dad said, without smiling, that's how my father was. He said, okay, then you have to become a world champion. Okay. It's like this, no smiling, okay. So then we're going to start working on that. And I said, yes. That's where it started.
So during your teenage years, you were living in Holland and you were practicing boxing until 1986, 87. This was a very big moment for you because you participated to the
Yes.
European champion.
Yes.
And you won the bronze.
In Olympics.
Before the
Before-
Olympics?
yeah.
The 87?
European champion, yeah.
Which
European
is my year.
championship. Yes.
You won the bronze?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And this gave you the opportunity to participate to the
Yes.
Olympic Games in
Yes.
1988 in
Yes.
Seoul,
Yes.
which was a big window for you.
Yes.
Because in the first match, you were against Kelcie
Against
Banks.
the World Bank.
Yeah.
It's like, so my father was very, very pragmatic, very American-minded. Raised me, only spoke English to me, and raised me with a mindset of, if you want it, you can do it, right? And so I said I wanted to be like the champions, in his magazines. There were Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray, and he said, okay, you want to be world champion? Okay, now then you have to become like them, right? And he gave me on my 14th, my 50th birthday, on my 14th, he gave me the book from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And one of the things that the book said, and my father emulated that, is if you want to do something, look at people that have done it before you and follow their steps, okay, and then customize it to your own desires, right, and needs. And that's what I did. And my dad actually said, you know what? You want a world champion? The world champions live in America. That means you have to move to America. That's one. And most of them went to Olympics. So that means you got to go to Olympics. That's how simple we thought about that. This is how simple, as a 12-year-old boy, he said it to me. And I said, okay. And he used that to discipline me my whole teenage years. At 13, he said to me, well, your friends are now going to chase girls. You're going to start drinking and smoking.
Yeah.
Okay, he said, that's normal. Very healthy, very normal. But champions don't do that. the champions have the prettiest girl, so you don't have to chase the girls. And champions don't smoke because smoke's bad for you. Champions don't drink because alcohol, because that'll limit you from
Of
being able to do
course.
what you do. And I believed him. And that he used that to discipline me, not to do the things that later on became very, very valuable to becoming what I want to become. Right? So my dad used the thing that I wanted to get me to where I needed to be. And I idolized my father. So I followed his path. I followed the things and I believed him, and everything he said to me came true. And the book that he gave me, Napoleon Hill, at 15, was the most important book I ever read. And from there, I created a mindset of belief, because in Holland, especially back in those days, the Dutch are very cynical, to put it in a certain way. They laugh at a lot of things. Everything's impossible. And my daughter would always say, you're going to counter. If you want to do something, you got to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So what I mean is that you have to say, I'm going to be world champion. Right? And then live by it. So he used that to discipline me, so I lived by it. But he'd always tell me to pronounce it. So at 14-year-old, I'm a 14-year-old kid in Holland saying, I'm going to become a world champion. Never been done before in the history of the country. And I, as a 14-year-old boy, say, I'm going to become one world champion. My dad had a magazine that was one of the supermodels, right? And I said, I'm going to marry a model, and I'm going to build a villa, and become world champion. And I would tell this to people, and I was 14 years old. I know these things meant, right? But that was what champions did. So I would tell people at 14 years old, and of course in Holland, they would all laugh at me.
Yeah.
I've been laughed at and ridiculed more time than people have tried. So I would say this as a 14, you can ask everybody that knows me when I'm 14, I would say, I am going to become world champion. So, therefore, I need to go to the Olympics first, right? And to get to the Olympics, you need to go to European championships. So, national champion, European championships, Olympics, America, world champion. That's how I thought, that's how I saw it, and I never saw anything else. So everybody would laugh at me and say, yeah, right. And they used to always go like this, and I still today hate it. They used to go like this, my hair like this, and I hate it with a passion. So I linked it. All my world championship fights, my trainer would go like this first, mess with my hair, and then fix it. I hate it with a passion, people touch my hair.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of being laughed at. Like this, in Dutch they say, jochie, means boy. They would always say, everybody would tell me, I would say I'm going to become world champion, okay? And I'm going to marry a model. I've never seen a model, right? And I'm going to build a villa, right? And they always say to me, world champion, right, impossible. So I go back to my dad. My dad said, they say it's impossible. Everybody's saying it's impossible. They're all laughing at me. And my dad said, first of all, no, anybody in life has achieved anything has been laughed at. Right now, and all ridiculed, all vilified. Because the majority group of people are followers, is a small group of leaders.
Yeah.
Okay? And leaders always get attacked, laughed at, or ridiculed. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a cover of Muhammad Ali on the front page of Time magazine with all arrows in his chest.
Okay.
Now, what did that mean? My dad used to explain this to me. Muhammad Ali was we are here today because of men like Muhammad Ali. That's why we're here today, all right? Because he paid a big price for us to be now, as human beings, sit together,
Yeah.
black, white, brown, yellow, right? And have constructive conversation and help each other become better in life, or whatever it is we would do in life. So those people are always people that 100 times, okay? Look at all of them, from Steve Jobs to Socrates. Go back. You'll see they were always vilified, laughed at, ridiculed, all of them. So my dad taught me this. He said, some of us hear our inner voice with great clarity. We know what we want, and we know what our destiny is. if and when we live by what we hear, those are the ones who become the heroes, prophets, leaders, champions. But they're always ridiculed, and they're always vilified. And Muhammad Ali, was in his prime the most hated man in America. Mahatma Gandhi is one of the most hated people. Okay, Steve Jobs, not much very liked by a lot of people. Now, those are my heroes. My heroes look a certain way. Understand? And the people always tell me, oh yeah, but what you want is impossible. So my dad would say this. They say it's impossible. No, ask them why it's impossible. So I was smart as 14 years old. When my dad said, I did. See, he programmed me. So I was asking him, so yeah, but why is it impossible? So and they would say, because it's never been done before. So I go back to my dad. So my dad, they say it's never been done before. So my dad said, now tell him this. Because it's impossible, because it's never been done before, it doesn't make it impossible. Because it's never been done before, does not make it impossible. That was how I was raised, and my brain was developed at 12 years old.
Before talking with you about your big move into New York from Rotterdam, I would like to ask you, what can you suggest to teenagers, 15, 16, 18, that don't have these figures like you had of your father, that are a bit lost, maybe they are smoking, they are not practicing sport, but they are still in the path to recover and follow their dreams? So,
one of the most important things that anybody, especially teenagers, is if you don't know what you want in life, make that your first task. Go figure out, take a piece of paper, one here, okay? Here you write all the things you love and like, and put a smile on your face, and make you feel good, make you want to get up in the morning. Write all those things down. And here, write all the things that you don't like. All right?
yeah.
Now, and then see what you can do, what your ability is. Right? So if you can match the things that you love with something that you actually can do, or want to learn, or able to learn, those things usually drive you in the direction where you need to go. So what I'm telling them is to listen to themselves instead of listening to the noise outside.
Yeah.
All right? Now, what's very important to me as a young person is that the things that you believe in, right, are things that you want yourself. And of course, for me, it came from my father, right? But it came because I wanted to make him proud. I wanted to be like his heroes, right? And that gave me a certain drive to do certain things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to do in life. And I was privileged enough, that he gave me, actually a pillar to hold on to, which was Napoleon Hill from there, right? And I think that's very important for young people to find the thing that drives them. And if they don't know what, that's task number one. That's your job number one, right? Figuring out the things and literally take a piece of paper, literally write them down. What puts a smile on your face? What makes you get up in the morning, right? What would you want to do? What would you want to learn? How would you want to become? How would you see yourself? And do you do it for you? Do you do it for your parents? Or for who do you do it for? Right? And that'll bring you to where the direction where you need to be. And then the other side, have written down all the things that you actually don't want. And some of them will be necessary, right? But at least you'll know the thing that you want and the thing that you don't want. And then thirdly, you got to figure out and see what of the things that you love and like are of value to the market, or the people. If you have something that serves others, you will always be of value.
Yeah.
So if you have the thing that only serves you, you will not be of value. So finding out what you love, what you like, what you wake up in the morning, right? And finding what of those things that you can use to be of value to other people. And if you can do that, you will always be successful. You will always be prosperous, and you will always find a place in the world, and you will always be happy.
Yeah. This is a very good advice.